I have a treat for you. I want for you to be able to experience the wisdom and wit of a good friend and mentor of mine, George Loyer. We worked together for several years back in the first decade of this millennium, and we continue to stay in touch. I recently went, this is back in December of 2019 when we could still travel. I went up to upstate New York, spent the weekend with he and his wife. And he and I reminisced. He started telling stories about some of his consulting work, and we decided, hey, let's put that on video because it's instructive. So today we talk about plan implementation analysis. We'll introduce you to a little bit of that. He's going to tell a story about asking the right kinds of questions, specifically, what could go wrong? Give it a listen.
The next example is going to be about a process we call plan implementation analysis. Rob, can you quick run through the steps of plan implementation analysis?
Okay, so plan implementation analysis is looking ahead, and what we're trying to do is create a plan that is risk proof. Ideally, right, is to look ahead, consider what things might go wrong in the future. Then, if we say that something could go wrong, we got to say, well, what would make it go wrong, right? And so we identify likely causes of future deviations. Then we can put in place actions to keep that likely cause from happening so that we don't have the future deviation, right? And knowing that we can't guard against everything, future deviation might still occur from perhaps some cause we didn't even think about. Then we can go ahead and a future deviation, if it occurred, would have certain outcomes, certain bad things we don't want to happen, but we can see if we can minimize the damage to ourselves by putting in place backup actions.
Yeah.
Okay.
This example again goes back to when I ran that printing company, and we moved from one building to another. In other words, we had outgrown the existing building we had, and we had some pretty big pieces of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did the plan implementation analysis, and one of the future deviations that we came up with was what happens if our biggest press is too big to get through the dock door there.
Okay.
And we measured the press with everything. It's that same dang 4-color press in the previous example.
I just should have gotten rid of it.
Yeah, that just occurred to me right now. It's the same darn press. And we measured, stripped down the smallest we could get it, and then we measured the dock door, and it was about 4 inches too big.
Okay.
In other words, if we had moved and not done that, we would have a press that we would have literally had to leave outside while we knocked 4 inches out of the door opening.
Okay.
So future deviation, press won't fit, likely cause door too small, protective action, we made the door bigger, and on moving day we just came and took the press and put it right inside.
Okay, very good.
And
very
that
good.
was a good example of why I was so glad we did this plan implementation analysis, because otherwise we would have been standing there looking like jerks with a press out in the rain. Bet you never heard that one.
I don't think I've heard that one either.
Okay.
So while George is making some notes here, one of the things about plan implementation analysis, some of this, if you're going, duh, why don't you just think ahead? Isn't that what everybody does? The answer is no. Oftentimes they don't. We just get ready to rock and roll and we assume things. And what this does is this just gets us to look more closely at our environment.
Yes, it does.
Think about what could go wrong and then at least check on it. Right? In this case, you knew going in it wasn't going to fit just because you thought.
Because we asked
Just
the question.
asked the question.
What could go wrong?
What could go
wrong? Would be we can't get the press through the door.